If you own a Propex Hs2000, you want to watch this video. Otherwise, you may end up with no heat. If you get an error code, the heater won't turn on. And it's fairly easy, fairly straightforward to do, but you need to know the secrets on how to do it. In general, heat should be a luxury. You should plan that if your heat fails, you've got the right gear to get you through the night. It's not just Propex, you know, Suburban has the same kind of a situation, Dometic, all these popular RV heaters, they're bouncing down the road and they're subject to vibration. That's right, unknown road. Into moisture. You ever once in a while question what you're doing? Your temperature extreme, humidity. Every conceivable situation they get. And they have to bake in, a little heat humor there, they have to bake in some protection. They don't want the propane going off when the flame is not lit. They don't want to build up propane. You could have a potential explosion. They don't want the thing running if the air ducts are clogged. You can get overheating situation. There's a number of different situations you can get. On most of these heaters, the ones that I looked at, the Suburban, the Dometic, most of them you have to go inside, and the Propex, most of them you have to go inside the heater to clear some of the error codes. The simple codes it will clear, other ones you have to go inside the heater. You really ought to print out the error codes, and there's a flashing light on the thermostat that tells you what the heater is trying to communicate to you. Thermostat's over here, and this red light right here will flash and it will show you what's going on. Often a code can be cleared very easily just by using the thermostat. And in order to do that, what you do is you turn the temperature all the way to high, and you turn the on-off switch to fan heat, fan off, fan heat, fan off. So I'll do it now. And you want to do this in just under a second each click. And that's often enough to clear most error codes. Some codes that won't clear, and then you have to go inside the heating unit. Hs2000 is very popular with van lifers because it's small, and it's so well engineered that it doesn't need a lot of space around it. The air comes in here, it goes through, and it passes through this chamber here, and it's a heat exchanger, so no combustion fumes come into the trailer. It just heats the air just like your home, and it sends it back into the trailer out this hose. Now this hose is acoustic ducting, and it helps lower the noise rate output of the heater quite a bit. If you own one of these, you really owe it to yourself to get this acoustic ducting. You can get that from a number of different places, and I'll put a resource in the comments. It doesn't cost much, and it does make a big difference. I think it lowered my noise, my decibel rating of the heater about 20 dB. I have a video on that. I'll put a link into it. I'm going to take out these two screws. These are Torx screws. Make sure you have a multi-bit toolkit so you can get inside of here, and you're going to need a paper clip too. I've removed these two screws. Put them somewhere safe. You don't want to lose these. Next step is lift off this cover. And what I did was I put instructions in here on what I need to do to reset the heater. Number one is this heating system has a fuse. In case you put too much voltage in, it'll blow the fuse to protect the circuitry. And that fuse is right here on this left side here. It's labeled F1. That fuse is a press-in. You can pull it out, test it with a meter, and if it's bad, you can replace the fuse. The fuses are $9 each. I know Van Cafe sells them. The other very important thing is for clearing the codes, which has happened to me because of airflow problems, because I get mud in my hoses. There's a CN18 circuit location in here. Let me see if I can illuminate it a little bit better. There we go. It's located right over here, and there's two pins here, 3 pins on this plug, but you want the 2 left pins. And what you do is you take you turn the heater on. You have to have the heater on, even though it won't be running, the light will be blinking. Some codes you can only clear this way. You run a paper clip across those left 2 connectors there, and you just jumper that, and it will clear the error code. Then I think you have to do the on-off sequence again, but it will clear the code. Prior to using the paper clip and jumpering these 2 pins, you can do the on-off sequence that I showed, but it won't clear the code. After you do this, you can then clear the code. Now, obviously, if you have a hardware problem, there's a number of different hardware problems you can have. This is not going to clear it. But if it's just something like happened to me, like I have a clogged air filter, the air intake clogs because I go through a lot of terrible conditions, and I clean out that filter, I clean this jumper, you know, I clean out the filter, I jumper this pin and clear the error code in that sequence, and it'll clear the error code, and I have nice warm heat the rest of the night. Now in here there's all sorts of sensors. There's a sensor to detect that airflow is going. If airflow is not going, it wants to shut down because it doesn't want to A, overheat, B, it doesn't want to have a propane buildup in the combustion chamber and have an explosion. So there's a lot of safety built in here. The main reason I get an error code is, now one that I've encountered a number of times because of what I'm doing. I go off-road, I go in deep water, dirt, I get it all, everything, you know, is combustion flow sensing, and this one seems to be the most common one for me. 5 flashes of the red LED. Check both the exhaust and the air intake pipes and make sure they're unblocked. I was just out in a really, really dirty, dusty environment road, these dirt roads. I was going down these dirt roads up in Maine that were just unbelievable. So I didn't want this to clog, so I put in some plastic bag here. This is the exhaust pipe. This is where the heat comes out. So I plugged this up. I can just pull this out of here, and it'll just keep a lot of dirt from going in here. You know, some dirt got in there anyway. But it just, you know, helps keep it clean. If I forget to take this out and turn on the heater, guess what? I'm going to get an error code. And I got to open up the box, and I've got to jump that C18 jumper to get this to work. Now this is the exhaust side. On the intake side, I have just a bare pipe there. You know, it's an open pipe. So I bought an air filter for it, and this screws into the pipe, and it works really good. But when I'm out, if it gets wet, or if it gets muddy, or if it gets dusty or dirty, this thing will clog. And it's just enough to reduce the air intake, just a little. And that heater is so sensitive, it will pick that up and it'll say, wait, we don't have sufficient air coming in here. I'm going to throw an error code. And you cannot clear that error code unless you take the filter off and clean it and dry it, which I have done. And I've done it on numerous occasions. You know, this is the cost of doing business. The air intake is under the trailer. Yes, I can move it. Oh, blah, blah. You can do all these other things. I know that. There's a lot of things I can do. But the way it's currently configured, I've got to be mindful of this air filter. Now, if I don't have the air filter on here, like right now, because the air filter was clogged, I plugged that pipe with a piece of plastic bag, just like I did the exhaust. And guess what? If I forget about that and turn on the heater, it's going to throw an error code, and I can't clear that error code until I open the cabinet and jump that little thing there. Now, I've read on the Propex information on their website, I've read that some of their newer heaters have a button there that you have to take off that cover and push the button. You know, I wish the button was on the outside so I wouldn't have to go in there. But on a cold night when you want some heat, you know, it's a small price to pay to pull out my covers. It takes me about 5 minutes to pull out the covers, unscrew the screws that hold that cover on, and jump that that C18 connection with a paper clip. It's not a big deal. I would rather not do it, but you know, if it means I'm going to get heat for the night, I'll certainly do it. So you want to keep this in mind because it's a really good heater. I mean, a lot of van people use it. That heater, it runs so cool that when it's burning, when it's on, I can put my hand on it in my case. Now, I don't know if yours is going to be hotter, but I can put mine on, and as soon as it turns off, it cools right down. It's just warm to the touch. It's not hot. That's how efficient it is. I mean, it's just a really great heater. It sips fuel. It puts out about 6,500 BTUs, which is welcome in this trailer. It's the perfect size for this. But here's the air intake, and I'm going to remove this dirty, filthy plastic plug that I put in here. And I'm going to put on the air filter, knowing full well that this thing will probably clog at some point and I'll have to take it off. But I'm pretty familiar, you know, with what's going on, and I'm comfortable with that. The filter has a screw that penetrates the hose and holds it on there, and there's a clamp. There's like a radiator type clamp that holds this thing on. So I'm going to put that on now, and it's only under extreme conditions when I go through mud and water and stuff like that, which is pretty deep, which is beyond the expectations of this trailer. But that's when I have that issue. But I'm pretty satisfied with this heater, and I recommend it. It really is a good functioning heater. I don't own every heater out there. I've not been able to compare them all. I always love comparisons, but pretty good, this thing. And I know a lot of van lifers love them because they can fit into, you know, really tight spots, because of the amount of space that's needed around them is much less than other heaters. So now the air filter is back on the air intake pipe, and I'm good to go. So to make this easy for me, I wrote down and stuck it on back in the heating system back there on this slide-in cover. I also wanted to provide you with a good resource. A great web page is VanCafe, VANCAFE.com. They have a Propex section in here, and it has a lot of good information on it that's worth reading. I've printed out a number of different pages from here. I carry a hard copy with me. They also sell parts, so it's a great resource. It's very warm. I only have this can go, this index can go all the way to the left or all the way to the right for cold or hot. It's right in the middle now, and it's quite warm. So I think this can go a lot hotter if I left it heat up. Small space, heats up pretty quick. I would say if you're pulling over and your trailer is ice cold like it is tonight, you've been driving all day, it's 5 degrees going down to 0, and you want to heat up the trailer, I would give it an hour, hour and a half.